That's like an
40 years.
RV. Look at that sucker. What? That is. That's ridiculous. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to be checking out how America's trucks became inferior to Europe's. We're talking about semi-trucks, guys. We're not talking about pickup trucks. So this is the Business Explains the World channel that we're going to be checking out. And there will be a link in the description section down below, of course, like there always is. Thanks for watching with me. Let's check it out, guys. Let's see about these trucks.
American trucks are the biggest, most badass, heavy metal trucks on the planet. Look at this. Wait, pause. This truck isn't American.
No.
Actually, they're from Finland, y'all.
Those other ones look cool, though. I mean, not gonna lie. I mean, yes, they're big. They're wasteful. Probably they're probably dangerous to drive, but they look cool. They can, right?
For the past century, nearly every form of freight transportation has gotten bigger. Longer trains, bigger ships, but trucks, well, trucks pretty much stopped growing since before I was born.
70s.
American cabs have gotten huge. And here we are, look at that. But the actual freight portion is stuck in the last century. Now, I'm an economist. I'm not satisfied with a quick little explanation. I need to know why everything else is getting bigger, but not trucks in America.
Well, I mean, your roads are only so big, and it's like, you know, semis are already big enough. Do we really need them to be bigger? I mean, do we really need that? They have a hard enough time getting around in the cities as it is, backing up to the dock doors at like factories and whatnot. You know, you'd have to redesign all the dock doors at like every factory. There'd be a lot to go in. Like, it's not like the ocean, you know? The ocean is big, so you can make the boats bigger as long as it'll still fit in the canals, or you know, if you have to go through the Panama Canal, whatever, stuff like that, of course, you have to make it fit. But other than that, you basically can just make it as big as you want.
I propose that maybe we should be making big, badass American trucks even bigger.
I'm on the trail of a convoy of runaway truckers.
It's got
Why?
a touch screen. It blows my mind. I think it'll blow yours.
This is the only one of its kind here in the USA right now.
It's coming after us!
Most people.
Why does he want to make the trucks bigger? And if his viewpoint is let's make them bigger, then how does he think that the American trucks are inferior to Europe's, like the title's saying? If he thinks bigger is better, then wouldn't the American ones be better according to his point of view? Because the American trucks are bigger than the ones in Europe. I'm confused. We're going to find out.
People can't drive stick now.
I can't.
I can drive stick. Not a lot of Americans can.
When I say truck, you probably think of this. In the US, we call them semi-trucks, referring to the semi-trailers not having front wheels. Across the pond, they're called articulated lorries, or Arctic for short. And you can trace them all back to this Scotsman living in Cleveland, Ohio, before the turn of the century. The last century. Alexander Winton mostly made cars back then, and he wanted a way to transport his automobiles to the customers without putting miles on the odometer. So, the Winton Motor Carriage Company adapted a car chassis so that it could carry a trailer. Each trailer could carry one car. That's right. The first semi-truck was a truck. On that note, I want to know when we're going to get a truck. When the automobile industry first started taking off in the 1900s, trucks followed suit. By 1913, the first state-level weight regulations were imposed, up to 28,000 pounds in Massachusetts, about the weight of 2 African elephants. We continued to improve the technologies like this more efficient diesel engine. Pneumatic tires that could support more weight, braking and steering improved. There was this feedback loop. Better roads could support bigger trucks. Bigger trucks lowered the transportation costs. Lower transportation costs will increase the demand for road freight. Higher demand for road freight, more demand for better roads. But then, something big happened in the United States that led our trucks to get even bigger before they stopped growing altogether.
The international, or the interstate highway system, right?
In this century, America has become a nation on wheels.
In 1956, Congress created the Interstate Highway System. For the first time, we built a big, long, wide highway network spanning a whole continent. This also brought the first federal weight limit to 73,000 pounds. Now we're up to 5.5 elephants.
Hey.
These open highways led to bigger trucks, which made trucking a more flexible competitor to rail freight. At the same time, a lot of World War II veterans became truckers. And so, by the 60s and 70s, we started to get trucker culture. Movies, music. By the way, notice anything about some of those trucks? Hold on to that observation.
European.
We'll get back to it. Things are about to change for American trucking regulation, and it's a big reason why parts of Europe and Australia are eating our lunch.
Sorry, but Europe and Australia don't want anything to do with our food. They ain't trying to eat our lunch, guy. We have terrible food quality. Obviously, it's just an expression, but, you know, I thought I'd throw that out there.
It was announced today that gasless Sundays will go into effect as of next month.
In 19...
Gasless Sundays. I don't know anything about that. This must have been in the 70s when there was the whole oil crisis and like the price of gas and everything skyrocketed, and there was massive pollution issues with the vehicles, so they had to like redo the emissions and stuff to get rid of the pollution out of the vehicles, and then cars started. That's why after the 70s, the cars started getting smaller. Like cars, vehicles were getting bigger and bigger and bigger into the late 70s, and you know, and then all of a sudden, boom, oil crisis. Cars are smaller. Four bangers start coming out. You know, 4-cylinder vehicles and stuff like that. That we didn't have so much here in America. Obviously, Europe's different, but in America, a lot of the vehicles were bigger V8s before that.
1973, we saw our first big oil shock. Gas prices soared, fuel was rationed. President Nixon imposed a nationwide speed reduction to 55 miles per hour. By December, many truckers had a...
So it's Nixon's fault I gotta go 55 on the highway, or on the roads. I'm just playing.
Speed reduction to 55 miles per hour. By December, many truckers had enough. This is J.W. Edwards, known on the CB radio as River Rat. And he's angry.
We're out of a job, and these wheels are not rolling on these trucks.
The fuel rationing meant he had to stop over and over again at every single diesel station along the I-80. He was so angry that he got on his CB radio and announced he was blocking the highway. Word spread, and others joined in blocking the road. Among other demands, these protesters wanted to haul more stuff. It turns out it's more efficient to have one driver with one tractor pulling a larger load than splitting that weight between two separate trucks.
Right.
So truckers wanted heavier trucks, and they were tired of a patchwork of different rules in different states. Finally, in 1982, federal regulations added 5 feet to the trailer limit and increased the standard weight limit to 80,000 pounds. But no bigger. The concern was that the trucks over 80,000 pounds would test the structural integrity of the nation's bridges. This added another half elephant.
Okay.
And for the past 40 years, trucks in the US have pretty much stayed all the same size. But there's another quirk from these new rules that's affected how trucks look today. Remember that clip from Convoy? The flat-faced cab-over style disappeared.
Yeah.
After the law changed, the cab no longer counted in the length rules, so drivers could stretch out. Let me show you something. Come with me to Florida.
Oh, so the new regulation only is the trailer. I see.
Time to go to Florida. Sweeter.
I mean, Florida's got a lot better weather than all that snow that he was just in, that's for sure.
American truckers tend to drive faster and go farther than their European counterparts.
Right.
So they like these big noses. It isolates them from the noise and vibration. It gives them more room to live in their trucks. Hey, we have these big interstates, big cities, we have room for these trucks.
I mean, they are probably way more cozy inside of the United States semis than, for sure, the ones in Europe.
You gotta look at the mini fridge.
But here's what surprised me. The part of the truck for the driver's been growing for 40 years, but trailers have not.
I have never in my life.
The part of the truck for the
Wow.
driver.
I have never seen a semi that massive. That is like a guy. That's
Has been growing for.
wow. That's like an
40
RV.
years.
Look
But-
at that sucker. What? That is. That's ridiculous. To be honest with you, that's pretty ridiculous. Wow. Have you seen anything like that?
Trailers have not. And that's where the money is. Don't these drivers want to haul more?
Why are trucks this big?
Why are they this big to carry weight?
This is Andy Hollums. He sells Peterbilt
To carry weight. It don't need to be that big to carry weight. Look at the ones in Europe. Come on now.
trucks here in Florida.
How much weight are they hauling?
Typically it's 80,000 pounds, typically what they're pushing.
So the standard's 80,000. Wouldn't it be better if we could have the bigger standard? What if the standard was 160,000 pounds?
Yeah, you would think that, but it's federally mandated. I guess Congress could change that.
Is anybody in industry talking about that?
No, not that I know of.
Then I met a guy who really changed my view of American trucks and what they could be. This is Bruce Wilson, trucker, YouTuber, one proud owner of a 2025 Scania.
This is the only one of its kind here in the USA right now.
Bruce imported this beauty from Sweden himself, and he's taking it on tour trying to gin up interest so the company will start selling them stateside.
How are the Swedish trucks different from the American trucks?
They're much further advanced compared to what we have here.
Oh,
There's
really?
a lot more competition in the rest of the world than what we have here in the US.
So what do they have that the American trucks don't
True.
have?
Lots of
Because the rest of the world in Europe, you got all these competing markets, all these different countries that are kind of intertwined together, whereas America, United States, is just kind of like, boop, by ourselves. Not real much. Sure, we have Canada and Mexico, but not much competition there.
safety, airbags. There's just lots of
Airbags.
in semis. Yeah.
American trucks don't have airbags?
No. Like
Did they just say the American trucks don't have airbags? This is 2025, guys. What?
Trucks don't have.
lots of safety, airbags. There's just lots of airbags in semis. Yeah.
American trucks don't have airbags?
No. Like Volvos have airbags in the steering wheel.
Okay.
But that's it. There's no curtain airbags. There's nothing to protect your head.
I see.
Just the European standard of living, they actually care about their citizens,
Yeah.
Not saying the U.S. doesn't,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
No, I'm going to say that. The U.S. does not. I will say that. The U.S. does not care about its citizens. That's for sure. I'm going to correct you there, guy.
standard of living, they actually care about their citizens, not saying the U.S. doesn't,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they want to protect more. That's why they have side skirts on the side of them for bicyclists.
Sure.
You have a really hard time running over someone with this truck.
Oh, and one more thing. This flat-fronted Scania has 170 more horsepower than the massive Peterbilt, which would come in handy because
Okay, so hear this out. 170 more horsepower than the Peterbilt, but guess what? The thing's like a third of the size, too. It's so much lighter than the Peterbilt. So you have a lighter, body, frame, vehicle, right? With more horses under the hood. Yeah, those things have way more power then. I'd like to see a European truck, the Scania, right? Versus the Peterbilt, side-by-side racing. Do they do semi-races, lorry races, whatever you want to call it? I want to see that. That'd be cool.
170 more horsepower than the massive Peterbilt, which would come in handy because of something else Bruce told me.
Finland and Sweden just passed a new law allowing trucks to have 120-ton trucks, and they're like a 70-meter or something like that.
Yeah.
120-ton trucks. Okay, so back to what the guy was saying earlier. He said, well, why do the trucks need to be so big? And the guy's like, oh, well, to haul the weight. Okay, well, not the case when you got the Scania half the size, a third of the size, able to haul what is that, 40% or 50% more weight? 120 tons instead of 80. More powerful too, more compact, and can carry more. America doesn't have an excuse.
120-ton trucks, and they're like a 70-meter or something like that, total length. Yeah.
So are the trucks the same size? They just allow a longer trailer, or
Truck's
is it
the same
different?
exact truck, they just add longer trailers.
You might be surprised that Nordic countries are leaving us way behind when it comes to truck size. What with their medieval cities and narrow highways, the Scandinavian cozy or hygge aesthetic. But these trucks aren't hygge,
Like it.
they're huge. Finland spent decades studying truck sizes, producing multiple peer-reviewed analyses. They found, just as we learned in the 1970s, that bigger trucks are more efficient. While bigger trucks have to pay drivers a higher salary and spend more on fuel and repairs, when we look at cost per ton, the actual cost it takes to move a given pound of freight, a given mile, we see significant savings from these high-capacity trucks compared to standard semi-trailers. Additionally, they're better on the environment. High-capacity trucks burn less fuel per pound per mile, lowering the environmental impact of transportation. Switching to HCTs lowers emissions by 33%.
Well, yeah, you got a lighter vehicle too. You got a smaller truck. You got a cab over. Whereas here in America, they're like, oh, we got to make it bigger. Like that one thing was like 40 foot long. It looked ridiculous. It was like a house on wheels that you could also haul a semi trailer behind you. Like that's just ridiculous.
Plus, they're obsessed with safety. You'd think these big trucks would make us less safe. Finland also conducted safety tests. They hired dozens of cyclists on an indoor track being overtaken by these trucks. And the cyclists found that it was the distance and speed that mattered, not the length of the truck. They require their trucks to have multiple camera systems, advanced emergency braking, and lane departure warning.
Nice.
So, after all that research, in 2019, these beasts took the road. Under the new rules in Finland, maximum truck length grew from 82 feet to 113 feet. And the weight! Their maximum limit is now twice that what we have in the US.
Twice? I thought it was 120 tons and we had 80 tons.
Coming in at 167,000 pounds.
Oh, is it 120 tons of cargo and then is it 40 tons for the vehicle weight? Is that what it is?
So all trucks can handle that stuff at that size.
Even the U.S. trucks.
And they look great too. Now Denmark and Norway and the EU itself are looking to increase their truck sizes.
Yeah, but he said, well, even U.S. trucks. Well, yeah. If the U.S. trucks weren't 1 million miles long, they don't need to be so big. I mean, if you got a trailer that's longer because it's holding more tonnage, then you don't want to put that on a truck that's already massively long, 40 foot long in the front or something. Now it's going to be too long. You might as well be driving a train down the damn road, right? Yeah, the shorter cabs are better.
And even
if you want a longer trailer, right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
And even though places like Finland and Sweden put our trucks to shame, the place that puts their trucks to shame is Australia. Look at this thing! An Australian truck can be as long as 175.
I just said it'd be like driving a train. Meanwhile, in Australia, yeah, you know the Australians, they're crazy. They don't give a fuck. Sorry about the language, but like they got big wide open spaces though in Australia too. I mean, they got more wide open space than we do here, I think. It's a train. That's a train. I mean,
this thing. An Australian truck can be as long as 175 feet and weigh as much as 300,000 pounds.
You couldn't do that in Europe though. That's the thing, is you could not drive that in Europe. There's too many small, narrow, twisty, turny roads. Australia is probably one of the only countries you could get away with that because of how big and open it is.
We're now at 23 elephants. They're so long, they call them road trains.
I just said they look like trains. I just said that. Wow.
The Australians even hold multiple Guinness records. One tractor pulled 120 trailers.
Pulling 1,474 meters of road train, the record was broken.
These road trains came about because Australia doesn't have as many train rail lines. They have one of the lowest population densities on the planet, and they need a way to move things like iron ore, fuel, and livestock over these vast distances. But we have a big country. We also have open land.
Have you been to Wyoming?
So why are our trucks stuck at 80,000 pounds?
Yeah, but the thing is they have more open land. Their stuff's more spread out. We have a lot of small, like on the East Coast, there's a lot of small roads in cities, not as small as in Europe, of course, but I just don't see it happening here. I mean, you'd have to like stay in Wyoming. You'd have to like stay out in the middle of nowhere to be able to use one of those trucks here.
Is there a lobbying effort? Are there people who want to talk about having bigger trucks?
I mean, not that I'm aware of.
The engine of economic prosperity is built upon increasing our labor productivity, meaning a single truck driver can haul more value than they used to. This grows the economy and we earn higher incomes. Remember how trains were getting longer? Since 1990, productivity has increased for trains 5 times more than trucks. And with trucks transporting 65% of our goods, this matters. There's a greater stagnation in the trucking industry, and this not only hits our economy, but also the environment. We have already lowered our highway vehicle pollution dramatically over the past 2 decades. There's more work to do. We could follow Finland. Our smart people could study how to increase truck sizes the right way to not have our bridges fall down. It's solvable if we have the will. Over 2 centuries ago, the
Just build stronger bridges then, right?
bridges fall down. It's solvable if we have the will. Over 2 centuries ago, the economist Adam Smith theorized that one of the keys to modern economic prosperity is to expand the size of the market. When the market expands, one store is able to sell to more and more customers. This increases competition, which lowers costs and benefits consumers. For example, take a small town general store. It's the only store in town, there's no competition, they can sell the monopoly price.
Yeah.
But as rail expanded across the American continent, the first Sears catalog in 1888 created more national competition. Americans not only saw better prices, but had access to a wider variety of stuff. So too, over the past century, increasing truck capacity has expanded the markets, lowering emissions, and thus improving our lives. This is the secret sauce to our modern prosperity. Bigger trucks are key.
So what's fancy about a 2025
Is that
model?
it?
What do you mean what's fancy about it?
Well, I don't know. What's new? Breaker, breaker, you know. What's up? How we looking?
That was good. I don't understand why he wants bigger trucks necessarily. I don't think the trucks themselves need to be bigger. Maybe the trailers can be bigger. If Europe can do it, then there's no reason why we can't haul 120 tons or whatever it is here. I mean, clearly our roads are bigger and wider than Europe's. So obviously, you know, if something on a European roadway will fit, then it'll for sure fit an American roadway, right? Maybe not so much the other way around, because our roadways are bigger than Europe's, right? That's why you got a lot of small, tiny cars driving around Europe, whereas here in America, people are driving these monstrous trucks just to go get their groceries and go home, and, you know, unnecessary travel just because they can, right? But yeah, good video. Thanks for watching, guys. Do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. Thanks for watching with me. You guys have a super fun, awesome day. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye.